Welcome to the video on NB Procure, an add-on solution for Dynamics 365 Business Central, which gives you enhanced procure-to-pay functionalities and enables vendor collaboration. My name is Murali Avnamuthu from Cetas Information Technology. Like we saw, NB Procure is the add-on solution for Business Central. It automates various procure-to-pay cycle from the vendor onboarding, purchase requisition to the payment. And the vendor portal is hosted on Azure, and it can drive a lot of efficiencies and productivity, and it can help you to maximize the value of your Dynamics 365 Business Central investment. Why would you choose NB Procure? So various automation in the procure to pay process, such as purchase requisition, code comparison, tracking of purchase orders, all that is available. And for the vendor invoice processing, Azure Document AI facility is available to minimize the errors and speed up the process. You can also control your procurement cost in terms of setting up budgets and ensuring the budget is controlled at various stages of your procurement process. And it can also help you with reverse auction to drive better price for the products you buy, and it reduces the manual errors in the overall procure to pay process. And it is built inside Business Central, hence it is having the same familiar user interface you're already comfortable with. And the vendor collaboration portal is hosted on Azure, which gives you the security, scalability, and reliability. So we'll see the capabilities of NB Procure. We are showing it in two colors. So the one on the left hand side is the embedded functionalities available within Business Central, and one on the right hand side, or with the red color border, is the portal, which is giving you the self-service functionalities for the vendor. Within the Business Central functionalities, we have shown certain features which are what we call as the overview functionality, which we will cover in this video, such as vendor onboarding, purchase requisition, floating of requests for codes, being able to compare codes, being able to release a PO, and being able to match an invoice, and being able to evaluate vendors. There are additional functionalities within Business Central, such as budget control, certain functionalities for sourcing companies, schemes and rebates, and consignment orders are also available. These functionalities will be dealt in separate videos. Coming to the portal, the vendor can register themselves, be able to receive an RFQ and respond with a quote, be able to receive the PO and acknowledge the PO, be able to submit an invoice using Azure Document AI, and be able to generate a statement of accounts. Now let's look at a little bit more in detail in terms of the functionalities available in NB Procure. Let's start from the vendor onboarding. The vendors can go ahead and register themselves in a public web page on your website, and you can ensure the basic KYC document can be captured, and all that will be synchronized within the Business Central for the purchasing team to review and approve. The purchase requisition is the starting point of the procure to pay process, and it can be tightly coupled with the budget controls as well. And the buyer team can use the purchase requisition to trigger various requests for quotes or directly release a PO if you are working with a specific vendor for the specific items. And being able to compare quotes and release PO ensures that you are able to have a control over the overall procurement cost. And you have a tracking of the purchase order in terms of the acknowledgements from the vendors or the various logistics tracking in terms of where you are with respect to the purchase order, gives you a actionable insights and ensure timely procurement fulfillment. In terms of invoices, we have the Azure Document AI, where the vendors can submit an invoice automatically and be able to track the payments whenever you are making from the ERP system. And the vendor collaboration portal, of course, being hosted on Azure, will be available 24/7, and vendors can help themselves with various aspects of the interactions with you who is using the Business Central system. And like we mentioned, reverse auction is available to make sure that you get the best cost for your procurement. Now let's start with the live demo of NB Procure as a solution. We are now on the vendor onboarding page, where a vendor who wants to become a customer with Kronos India can submit their details and indicate the bank accounts they are going to operate with, indicates their contacts on their end, where you can choose whether you want to get the company registration certificate, any tax configurable. Vendors have to submit them in order for them to be considered as a vendor in your organization. And finally, the details can be submitted to the company who is using Business Central. Now let's jump over to Business Central. Whoever has registered in the registration page, which we just showed you, they will come over here as a buying team. You will be able to review those details and decide whether to accept and create it as a vendor in the ERP or to reject the vendor. Once a vendor is approved, they will be getting a credentials via a notification email, and they will be able to start collaborating with you. Now let's start the procure-to-pay process itself. The starting point is the purchase requisition. This is a requisition initiated by the user departments for the products they are looking for, and they will submit the purchase requisition to you as the buyer team. Now you as the buyer team will review the items required, the quantities required, and when they are required, and then you will choose the vendors to whom these items will be procured with. So you can choose one or more vendors so that it will now go as a request for quote to these vendors when released from this page. Now we are back in the vendor self-service portal now, and this is the landing page where the vendor can see certain details about their interaction with the company in terms of various purchase orders they received and so on. And let's start the journey with the request for quote, which would have come as a notification email, and the vendor can log in, look at the RFQ, and choose to accept the RFQ so that they are indicating that they want to participate in this bidding process. They can review the RFQ, look at what are the items to be supplied, what quantities to be supplied, look at terms and conditions which are associated with this particular request, and any item spec which are available in the comparison parameter, in terms of material quality and so on. They can view all this and then say they want to create this as a quote. Once they create a quote, the system will create a quote document, and they can go ahead and supply the price info and submit the quote. So we are at the quote document now. The vendor can choose a particular line and provide the price which they are quoting and when they can deliver and so on. And they can submit each line like this. And they can finally submit the document, which will then be synchronized into the ERP system for the purchasing team to compare. We are back in Business Central now as a purchasing user. We are going to retrieve the particular purchase requisition number and look at the various purchase quotes we have received against this particular RFQ which we have floated. Now we can see 3 vendors have participated in this bidding, and they have submitted the item, the quantity, and the rate they will be able to supply. So once you have compared the quotations, you will be able to select the vendor and go ahead and create the order. You can of course choose multiple vendors for different items, or even for the same item, you can do a share of business in terms of awarding partial quantity to some vendor, the rest of the quantity to another vendor, and so on. Once you click the make order, the system will go ahead and create the purchase orders accordingly. We are back in the self-service portal now. The vendor is able to see the PO which has been released to them, and the first action they will do is to acknowledge the PO. They can accept, and this acknowledgement data will be synchronized to the Business Central ERP. And against this purchase order, whenever they are ready to deliver the product, they can create ASN, Advanced Shipment Notice. So clicking this ASN will create a ASN document, and the vendor can indicate if they are supplying the invoice number also against the ASN, they can indicate the invoice number. They can specify the shipment mode as well, and they can go ahead and specify the items and their quantities. And in this page, they can, if they are supplying in part, then they can edit the quantity supplied and go ahead and submit the ASN. Once you are done with entry of all the lines, you will then do a save and submit ASN as a vendor, and this will be synchronized into the Business Central ERP. You're back in Business Central now. As a store user, you would get the products delivered at your docks, and you can go ahead and pull up the ASN record, compare with the actual shipment which has been received by your end, approve the ASN, and go ahead and make it as a GRN. The goods receipt note will invert the items into the inventory. The vendor can see that the ASN has been now approved at the ERP end, and they will be able to go ahead and create an invoice against this particular ASN. Vendor can go ahead and submit the invoice either by typing in the details or using Azure Document AI by attaching a PDF file, and Azure Document AI will do OCR of the PDF document and populate the details, which can then be submitted to the ERP system. Whenever the vendor is paid for certain invoices, they would get a notification. They can come here and have a look at what are the details of the payment and for which invoice they are corresponding to, and so on. So this will have self-service functionality so that they don't have to call up the finance team and ask for which invoice has been paid and why it is partially paid and all that, because all these details are already readily available on a self-service portal. Finally, they will be able to run a statement of accounts for a specific period, which will then show all the invoices, the payments, the credits, and so on. So they will be able to reconcile with their books as well. So as we have seen, NB Procure helps you to automate various processes in your Procure-to-Pay cycle. And it is easier for your purchase team and finance team to come on board because it is available within the Business Central familiar interface. And it is a much easier app to set up, and in terms of implementation also, it can be quickly implemented for your organization. NB Procure is from Cetas Information Technology, who have various other apps also listed in App Source, and some of them are shown here for your reference. About Cetas, we are in business for the last 15 years, and we are a 150 plus team member organization. We have 12 plus apps listed on App Source, and we have 300 plus customers, and we are both a ISV as well as a Dynamics AI cloud partner. Thank you for your time, and if you need to try our app, you can visit App Source, and for any demo videos, you can access them in YouTube in the link shown, and if you need any help, you can get in touch with us through the email specified here, or you can visit our website. Thank you.